go. All right. First of all, on the front end, I have to let you know that this is a sponsored video with College Board. However, this is like a subject that's like really close to my heart. So I've been thinking a lot about being in quarantine and those of us that are just, you long for the things that you're missing. You're missing school, or you're missing your students, or you're missing your friends, or you're missing, hugging someone. And when I think about that stuff, I'm really thinking a lot about things that we sort of had hijacked from the year also. Like, the fact that there's not going to be a senior prom, there's no senior trip, there's no trip to Penn State to go do Latin Curtamen this year. There's not, graduation is not, like, we're not really sure if it's going to happen or if it's going to just happen like later, like maybe in August or something like that. And wrapped up in that is the fact that like some of my favorite students, like DJ Dirty Kev, who's shown on the front cover of my book, is a kid that I've been teaching for years. We're really, really close, and I'm not going to see him walk across the stage. Or at least I'm not sure like when that's going to happen or what it's actually going to look like. But that feels like these are stolen moments. And it really kind of reminds me of, I was about 20 years old, and I remember I was going to live in my dirty van for the summer in Cape May, New Jersey, where my friend owned a store. It's still there, Madam's Port in Cape May, New Jersey. The plan was to save up all of my money, and then my friend Doug and I were going to travel to Europe that fall and just travel till the money ran out. And that spring, right before I left to go down to the shore to live in my van, my mom got sick. And so my mom told me that she had cancer, and I quit everything. I quit my band, I quit my job. I tried to break up with my girlfriend, and 20 some years later, we're married. It was this moment where I didn't want to leave my mom's side at all. And so I stayed home and I took care of my mom. And during that time, all those long nights at home and sitting by my mother and taking care of her, I was upset about the fact that I wouldn't be able to go down the shore or go and do this trip in the fall. In retrospect, I'm glad that I stayed home, but the shift for me, even in that time of essentially being quarantined in my house, I just stayed with my mom for all those months. So what I did instead was, as I would sit at home with my mom, essentially quarantined in this time with my mother, I came up with new dreams of what would it be like if I drove across the country, because I could do that for much longer and on less money than going to Europe. And then getting magazines, ordering magazines in the mail back when that was a thing, and looking through, National Geographic and Outside Magazine to see where I would want to go, mapping places out like where's the biggest spatula in the world or the largest cross in the Western Hemisphere, figuring out where I could park my car, where I could stay, where there were Walmarts, because it turns out Walmarts are a fine place to park your car and sleep at night. I'm not telling anyone to go ahead and do this, but they're open 24 hours and no one suspects anything weird when you have a dirty old van outside of a Walmart in the middle of nowhere. Just looks, I guess, normal. So during those months, I planned my trip out to a T. I knew how much money I needed. I knew where I wanted to go, what I was going to do when I was there. I was able to connect with people so I could meet up with folks and have somewhere to stay or to shower during my trip. And I really ended up making the most out of that time. And so all of these years later, we were supposed to, this summer, my daughter and I were going to reenact that trip. We were going to do our own trip, leaving the day after graduation. So it was going to be go to San Diego, do the Burgess conference, then come home, have graduation, and then the next day we were going to leave on our trip, get in our car, and drive cross country for a 3-week trip, and then end up in Legoland, California. Now we don't know if that's going to happen. And my daughter is really hurt by this. But I'm left with this feeling of, well, what did I do the last time that I was going to take this exact trip? It got messed up. And so we are now planning this out. And so we bought a large map from Amazon, and we're going to put pins in it. We're going to figure out every single place that we want to go and every single thing that we want to do, because we were going to just kind of wing it, because that's kind of the story of my life. But instead we thought, wouldn't it be fun to plan this whole thing out and use this time to plan this? And so as we're all sitting here at home, I thought, what better thing could I do when I'm not really teaching lessons like I normally am? I don't have my students with me. I don't have, a lot of your life has been taken away. How could we use this time? And I'm left thinking, why aren't we planning things out? Why aren't we thinking about going on offense instead of being on defense? Especially when we have technology, we have the ability to reach out to anyone, to look anything up, really planning our lives. And this is something that I've talked to my students or I've talked to them about at an exhausting rate, where I have literally on several occasions cleared my whole desk, dramatically, because I If you watch my videos, you know I'm into the dramatic effect sometimes. So I like clear my desk and I take out an Expo marker and I say, what do you want to be when you grow up? What kind of car do you want to drive? Where do you want to go? Do you want to be married? Do you want a cat or a dog or chickens? And then we would draw this whole thing out on my desk. And I have students that come back years later and they say, Reynolds, I literally remember everything that was on that desk. And I try to live my life in such a way that I'm trying to get to that space again. Like they're still working towards that goal. It's so exciting, right? To take your big dream, to actually flesh it out, and then to break it down into all these mini steps that it takes to get there. And so for us as adults, that seems like something you could probably just go and do. You could just start Googling things. You could look up all your dreams and then price them out and then come up with some kind of life plan around that. And how are we doing this with our students? And I think that this is time where our students, most of the kids, when I call home, they just are eating a lot of snacks, they are watching a lot of Netflix, and they're playing a lot of video games. And my concern is that they're going to turn into the people from WALL-E. You remember those people, if you've seen WALL-E, they couldn't even walk anymore because they just stared at screens all day and ate snacks. And then they lost the ability to like actually stand up on their legs anymore because they weren't really needed because they rode around on hoverboards. This just became the dystopian future. But anyway, what I'm getting at here is how can we help our students to actually plan for their future, especially when there are moments right now when scholarships are at stake, when academics are at stake, when kids that played lacrosse or soccer or swimming or any number of these spring sports that they were, working hard to get somewhere so that they could hopefully get a scholarship to college. I think it's time to help our students to figure out some of these tricky places that they're in right now, to navigate these waters so that we can help them set themselves up for success. And I think there's a couple of ways we can do that. One of those ways is by just calling students. Remember that when you call kids, if you have that ability, or email them, or call their parents and put it on speaker for the whole family. The bottom line is, just like I'm always saying, it's not about your advice, it's about your attention. Your attention is always more important than your advice. And when you're talking to students, just listening to them, just letting them know that you still care. In these times when we were all kind of taken away from school, we were separated from our students at such a breakneck speed and so just to call someone and say, hey, it's Reynolds. How you doing, man? What have you been up to? The key is to not just talk to kids about academics, not just talk to them about school or how's your work going or whatever. How have you been? How's life changed since the last time I talked to you? How's your mom doing or your grandmom doing? Whatever happened with that situation that we talked about in school that day. Oh, you're watching a lot of Netflix? What are you watching? The thing is, it is an act of care to just reach out and talk to students and let them know that you're thinking about them. It's just like when I put eyeball stickers on kids and let them know, I've got an eye on you. You are taking the invisible and making it visible. And that is huge. And so as I'm thinking about this, College Board reaches out to me and tells me about the College Board Opportunity Scholarships Program, which is a program they created that rewards students with scholarships for taking college planning steps. I just thought that this was something that was really empowering for students. That was something they could actually do to benefit themselves in the future and benefit their families. So all you have to do is you go to the link below, it's in the description box, you sign up, and you can help your students by having them opt into the program and take steps to apply for college and get scholarship money. And the cool part about this is two things. One, they can do it from their own home. And two, if a lot of your students are in the same sort of boat as my students, which means that mom and dad don't necessarily have extra money. There's not a savings account that was planned for them to go to school, right? The students are part of a family that beyond anything want them to graduate high school, to go to college, and to have what their parents were not able to have growing up. They want a brighter future for their students. And in doing this, we are allowing them to have the tools to create a future for themselves that is brighter than, we're essentially helping them to create a way for themselves. Like a lot of my students, college didn't really become a reality until too late. But now they realize that this is the key. This is the key to the life that they've always dreamed of having. And now they can earn up to $40,000 in scholarship money through College Board. And as educators, we're always trying to get students to take those keys to empower kids to live that life that they always dreamed of living. So the College Board Opportunity Scholarships walks you through each step and shows you exactly what to do right on their website. And the more tasks that you complete on the site, the more opportunities you have to earn money for your scholarship. And the best part of this, seriously, my favorite part of this, is that there's not an application, there's no essay, there's no GPA requirements. And you don't need a super high SAT score to qualify for scholarships. It's simply empowering students to take an active role in their future, go on the website, complete the tasks, and they will be rewarded for what they do. So if you want to support your students in this way on their pathway to college, you can go to the link below in the description box, and you as an educator can take that pledge for your students today. Lastly, I just want to say, I think the way that we can also really, really help our students is by being the example that we want our students to be, right? This is an ongoing theme of my work as an educator, is to be the example for the things that I want to see my students doing, and the way that I want them to act, and the way that I want them to take responsibility for themselves. So if I say to students, you need to work hard, I need to work harder than everyone in class. If I want kids to be nice, to be polite, to show respect, I need to be nice and show more respect and be kinder than everyone in the classroom. And I need to do that out loud. I don't know that it's good enough that we are doing these things, being respectful, learning new things, being good human beings on the planet, to ourselves, or in private, or in quiet. I think on some level, you need to let the world know the things that you're doing because it inspires other people. My cousin Elisa was sitting at Thanksgiving dinner this year, and we're sitting in my aunt's new house, which had this giant window in the front of their house. They live on a street that everybody walks down. So essentially, when nighttime comes, everybody can see us in the house. And when my aunt went to close the curtains at the end of the night, Elisa says, "Mom, why are you closing the curtains?" And my aunt says, "Because everybody can see us outside." And she said, "Yeah, but it's kind of like they can see us having a really good time, and they might be inspired to have a good time also." And I just thought that was so awesome. So if we even think about this way that we do social media, that we do YouTube, that we do anything, right? What we are doing is not just being narcissists and putting ourselves on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, and talking about the things that we're doing and how much fun we're having. And even in this time of quarantine, how you're choosing to make the best of it. What we're really doing, hopefully, is we are inspiring others to make the most out of this time. And I could honestly get a little bit better at that. I could take more time to post some more of the things that I'm doing, to not be so precious about the Instagram posts that I put up. And if you don't follow me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, you can just follow me at Real Rap with Reynolds. But I've been trying very hard to be mindful of my time, because the time can just get away from you too. So some of the things I've been working on, as I was telling my students in another video, I'm working on a lot of puzzles. I have a lot of ridiculous puzzles that we've been putting together. They've been taking over my entire dining room table. I've also been planting seeds, for which I have many on tables in front of me in my laundry room, which this is not just an office. This is also the laundry room and the place where everyone keeps their jackets and their shoes, and apparently my greenhouse for plants that I keep in my house. I've been trying to create hands on a stick, which I want to make, but I can't go to any stores to buy the supplies that I need. I've been gardening a lot, been working with my kids to do stuff. Marley is doing different creations every day. Right now she's in the kitchen pouring lemonade that she made yesterday out of actual lemons, and squeezed them and realized that lemons don't actually create that much lemon juice. We've been watching a lot of shows together and a lot of movies together, and that's not something I usually do. I work a lot and I do not watch very much TV. But as a family, we've been watching Stranger Things, which has been fun to watch again, and my kids were really excited to watch it, so it's something we've been watching as a family. Spending a lot of time in my tiny garden, just, planting stuff, moving stuff, mulching stuff, composting stuff, trimming stuff, dividing stuff, garden stuff. And it's given me a lot of time to think about my future, like the same way that I tell my students to reverse engineer their lives, I'm getting even greater and greater detail on the things that I want in my life. What would my most perfect life look like? And this is a really great activity to just plan out, from your marriage to your, or your relationships, to your relationships with your kids and the rest of your family, to where do you want to live? Where do you want to go on vacation when, this is all over? What do you want your classroom to look like next year? How does this impact your students in a positive way next year? And then really breaking it down, like designing your classroom and pricing all of the things that you want to do. Not just saying I want a bulletin board in the back of my room, but what's the paper? What's the border you want on it? What's on the bulletin board? How often does it get changed out? How are you going to make school special next year? How are you going to make it come alive for the students? I mean, really, we're off for so much time. You could literally go back to school a different person. You could know how to play guitar. You could learn Spanish. You could drop 300 pounds. Like you could be this skinny, like a skeleton with skin on it. And you could actually get muscles by the time you go back to school. That was self-deprecating, but I'm gonna stick with it. There's so much we can do. And in doing that, we can inspire our students to do things also. It is important to be awesome out loud because it inspires others to do the same. Gang, I hope you all are well. I thank you so much for all that you do. That's it, everybody. I hope you have a great day and I hope you're well. Peace.